Hello everyone, Locust Storm here. Welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Oh jeez. Alright. Alright, so here we go. Back to solo mode. No, we skipped around a bit last time. This time we're gonna go back to where we didn't go before and take on this terminal world. Ally of Justice. So it looks like we're starting with Allies of Justice, then we're gonna do Gen X, and then we're gonna do whatever this is. We're gonna try to do all three of them today. And at least the first two I know are not very good archetypes, but that's okay. So let's begin. What is the deal with the Allies of Justice? Alliance for Justice. On a certain planet, several tribes were at war trying to expand their territories and conquer the continent. However, since none possessed superior military power, the battle between the forces was at a stalemate. This long-lasting war seemed like it would continue for decades or even all time. However, the battle will come to a conclusion in an unexpected way. The conclusion was a giant meteorite that flew in from outer space. The organic matter on that meteorite adapted to the new environment and began to multiply and evolve. So these are the worms, another terrible archetype. These invasive worms that drift through space and devour stars have begun their invasion of the planet. Facing these interstellar invaders, the tribes signed a truce agreement. Each of them went on to fight the worms to protect their tribal lands. The Ice Barrier tribe that worshipped the holy beast of ice resisted by releasing Bryonak, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. The freezing gust by the Ice Dragon pushed the worms back. A group of warriors called Flamvel controlled fire. The war chief Flamvel Urukizas, who incinerated the unrushing horde, was an integral part of the fight. Guardians of the Mist Valley possessed the power of man and bird. They tricked the invaders, misled by the fog, and prevented them from entering the valley. X-Sabers are swordsmen led by Commander Gotham's Swordmaster. So far, one of these decks is not like the others. They are few in number but highly skilled, and have slain a countless number of the cosmic entity. Okay, and then when do our robot pals come into play? Their identity unknown and impossible to communicate with, the worms swarm in unison like army ants. The tribes fought valiantly, repulsing the worm army, however they couldn't wipe out all of them. The worms that survived the flurry of attacks learned from the stimulus and began to evolve. In this way, new specimens that were adapted to every situation were born and began to multiply. They formed another swarm and attacked once again. The invasion was unstoppable. Unable to withstand the invasion of worms, one by one the tribes were destroyed. On the brink of extinction, the representatives of the surviving tribes gathered to have a debate. The invaders are powerful. Individual strength is no match against the enemy. Now is the time to join forces and stand together. Thus, the four prominent tribes on the continent, Ice Barrier, Flamvel, Mist Valley, and X-Saber. I struggled to see how the X-Sabers didn't cleave the other three apart, but anyway. Got together to form the Ally of Justice. Each tribe began to develop weapons against the worms. The multitude of weapons designed to destroy the enemy were put to test on the battlefield. Thus, the all-out war against the worms for survival intensified as the days progressed. And now we get to play as them. Yes, for those who don't know, the Ally of Justice cards are all about anti-light. They're literally all their effects do is just make things difficult for light monsters. Yeah, so what makes an Ally of Justice deck unique? Abundance of monsters that devastate light monsters and nothing else. The level 5 and above Ally of Justice monsters, including Synchro monsters, have powerful effects. One of them does, the others not really. Their attack and defense are high as well. Be ready to call out high-level monsters while dealing with your opponent's light monsters. Yep. Alright, so let's draw a card. Okay, now I don't remember what these cards actually do. So once per turn, discard a card, target a face-down defense position monster, change it to face-up attack mode, and ignore flip effects. I see. Yeah, so these cards are designed specifically to counter the Worm archetype, which isn't even all that good by itself. Now we use Jet Synchron's effect to resurrect itself. And then Iron Call lets this monster reborn 1,000 arms. And now we get to summon the one good card from this archetype, Ally of Justice Catastar. I actually really like the art on this guy. Yeah. So by today's standards, this card is terrible, but back in the day, he was pretty good. He takes out everything except non-dark monsters. Unfortunately, dark is the most popular attribute in the game. But that's okay. Alright, so I'm guessing that we're going to be fighting again. We're not going to be doing a mirror match for this game. We're going to actually be fighting the worms directly. So we're going to be doing specifically against the deck that we're designed to defeat. Acts of Despair. Okay, quarantine. Either player can special summon light monsters. That could be helpful. This effect is useless. This is not helpful. Okay, I think I see what to do. We'll summon him, and we'll summon this guy. And then we're gonna take a hit to ourselves, have this guy battle him and banish it, have Quarantine battle Yagen. And unless I've made an error somewhere, this should work out. Really? Well, that's a problem. Now I got no monsters on my field. And I can't summon again. I can use Iron... No, I can't use Iron Call. Also, look, whatever monster I was blown up during the end phase, it doesn't even matter. Oh, and I have to have a machine on my field to even do this. Okay, fine. I'll be a bit mortified if I actually lose to a worm deck, but... Really? This is really not my day. What do I have in my extra deck? I have Yugioh and X. Okay. Fine. That's how we're gonna play this. Since this card... Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna summon Searcher. Use Searcher's effect, discard Quarantine. And I forgot Searcher was level 3. Well, I cannot believe it, but I think we lost. Let's redo this. Okay, this hand is also terrible. This is literally all I can do. Acts of Despair again, really? Can't believe I'm using this on these stupid things. I think I'm gonna lose this duel again, because there's really nothing I can do. Alright, I'm scooping again. I literally can't do anything. I mean, I'm sure the story is going to say otherwise, but as far as actual gameplay is concerned, the Allies of Justice did not do a very good job of actually, well, clearing worms out. Alright. Thunder armor is pretty bad. What? I block clip effects. Oh my god, it's technically not a flip. Of course. Xyz summoning. Of course, King of the Feral Imps. No, there's no point in doing that. And Acts of Despair. I cannot believe I'm just getting obliterated by stupid Acts of Despair. This is ridiculous. Great, I can't do anything again. Could I get some Acts of Despair, please? Lightning Storm, an actual good card. Okay. If a light monster is on the field, destroy this card. This card is useless. Okay, well obviously the first move to do... Get rid of that. And then this is really all I can do. Okay. We actually have a plan this time. Summon this, activate Iron Draw, draw 2 cards. Okay. And then Reverse Break will destroy whatever this is immediately. And then attack directly. Okay, main phase 2. We have 2 level 4s. Summon a good card. Okay. Send 1,000 Arms to the graveyard. That's an okay card. What cards do we have here? I think I'm gonna add Core Destroyer. Because even if he does another Acts of Despair thing, I can take it out immediately. No matter what it is. And then with Jet Synchron and Iron Call, I can Synchro Summon Catastar next turn. So I think that's the play. No. Okay. So let's summon Core Destroyer. Battle phase. Core Destroyer attacks this thing. And Giganex attacks directly. And I'll end my turn there. Okay. Another Iron Call. Alright. Let's summon Jet Synchron. Play Iron Call. Resurrect. Thousand Arms. And then summon Catastor. Our boy. Alright. Really? Yet again. Of course it was. Well, I still got two really powerful I still got, well, one powerful and one okay monster on my field. I think I got this. Only took several tries. Actually, Jet Synchron, Iron Call again. Or summon Catastor again. There. Now, no matter what happens, there's no way he's not dying this turn. Wait. There we go. Boom! Alright, we did it. Only took 4 attempts. Jeez. We can understand now how just completely unplayable Ally of Justice is. Well, let's see how the story ended. Each tried to develop their own Ally of Justice weapons and sent them off to war. The weapons initially performed as expected, however after a certain period of time they became ineffective. You don't say. Why? This is because the worms even adapt to those weapons. I think you mean adapted. Worms evolved to withstand extreme temperatures upon exposure to the ice barriers, freezing gust of Ally of Justice Unknown Crusher, and flammable flames of Ally of Justice Rudra. Ally of Justice Clausel was created by Mist Valley, specialized in ambush from the skies, however the invaders acquired the ability to camouflage, deceiving the Mist Valley weapons. Even the slashes of Ally of Justice Thousand Arms developed by X-Saber were counteracted. Species with impenetrable hardened skin and ones that could divide and regenerate appeared. The Alliance initially pledged allegiance to overcome the existential crisis together. However, the original dispute was unresolved, and differences of opinion and disorganization among the tribes had flared up again. If this continues, they are sure to lose. To counteract the invaders, they had to truly unite, otherwise what is the Alliance for? The 4 tribes put aside their past ruts and decided to truly cooperate with each other. And so the eagerness of each tribe analyzed the pros and cons of their weapons as well as the worm's characteristics. They needed offensive and suppressive power in close combat, defensive capabilities in brawls, maneuverability against long-range targets, and mass production through standardization. Combining the best of their technologies, an amazing weapon was born equipped with everything. Ally of Justice Catastor. As a result of their efforts, a weapon that was a masterpiece never seen before was complete. As soon as its performance and reliability were proven, mass production began. This would greatly help the tribes on the front lines. The worm invasion intensified with each passing day. Battles spread across the continent. It was a battle with no end in sight. However, the unity of the Ally of Justice was becoming a symbol of great hope for the tribes on the planet. Well, I'm glad they gave my boy Catastor some respect. Although I kind of wonder what the other synchros the Ally of Justice did exactly. But whatever. That's one down. Now we're turning on to the next chapter, Genix. And if our last run was any indication, we're going to have some difficulties with this deck too. But here we go. Mechanical beings in sync. There were beings that lived disconnected from other tribes and civilizations for a long time. Their name is Genix. They are mechanical beings with the power to control energy from nature, such as fire, water, and wind. They humbly use their powers to improve the natural environment as if to heal the planet itself. The Genix were shrouded in mystery. As few as the tribespeople that inhabited the planet even knew they existed. What is their purpose? How long have they existed on this planet? What do they do when aliens attacked? Some of the engineers of the Ally of Justice witnessed their power and started to secretly observe them. Meanwhile, the fight between the Ally of Justice and the Worm Invaders was ever increasing in intensity. Okay, so we haven't forgotten that. Weapons including Ally of Justice Catastrophe were deployed to battlefields across the land and had achieved a certain level of success. With the emergence of large specimens such as Worm Aerokin and Worm Illidan, the momentum was beginning to wane. Well, not in gameplay logic, because Catastrophe would still mop the floor with those two. Not only the Ally of Justice engineers, but also the soldiers fighting in the front line foresaw the battle getting bogged down. Ally of Justice engineers worked to break out of the status quo and conducted various technological developments and studies. But then, a message arrives from the person in charge of surveying the Genix. The Genix and Worm have begun battling each other. Okay, so Genix are also getting in on the conflict. Interesting. Alright, so Genix has multiple generations of cards. I'm not sure which one we're going to get or if we're going to get all three of them. Let's see. So it makes the Genix deck unique. The deck features a synchro summoning process that involves the Genix tuner with the member of a predetermined attribute other than the tuner to take advantage of the effects of the synchro monster. Okay, I know that much, though. As I remember, their effects aren't actually that good. Use the effects of Genix monsters to win the duel. The aim will be to summon Locomotion or Genix on your second turn. Use the first turn to make preparations. Summon Changer. Changer. Once per turn, you select a face-up monster and declare an attribute. It becomes that attribute until the end phase. Totally unimpressive. Then use double summon, and then we're going to probably summon Genix Controller, I imagine. Yep. Genix Controller, come on down. So we're gonna summon Geogenix. What does that do? Thermal Genix, Thermal Genix, Geogenix. One Genix Controller, one or more non-Earth monsters. Once per turn of a level 4 or lower Genix monster you control. Switch the attack and defense of this card until the end phase, as long as you can control one. Yeah, I see why this archetype didn't work. Fine, so let's make you Earth. Let's summon Geogenix. We're gonna summon it in defense mode so it doesn't die immediately. Alright, pass turn. Opponents, what are you gonna do? Oh, still fighting worms. Alright, now I think I know what we're gonna do. Right. So Locomotion or Genix, I think, takes control of a monster. Locomotion or Genix. You do not deserve that fancy intro animation. knew it. Booyah! Alright. Now, looks like we're gonna fight worms now, so it's just like the last game, it's not a mirror match. Let's see how hard we brick this time. Okay, so we're going first. What do we got here? Gen X recycled. Okay, not super great. Gen X Neutron, tutor card in the end phase. Okay, that's helpful. Gen X Rosenix, target a face-up card you control. One Crystron tuner. This is the Crystron card. Okay, we're combining archetypes now. What does this trap do? Super Team Buddy Force Unite. Target a face-up monster on the field. Special summon a monster from your hand or graveyard with the same original type but a different name. If this card is in its owner's spell trap or disorder, you can set one directly from your deck. Okay, well, might as well set both of these, and then summon Neutron. And then pass turn, because there's not really much else I can do. Neutron will at least give me a card. I guess I'll add controller. If I summon you in attack mode, will you know he'll still go for Neutron? Well, I tried. If I control Gen X controller, I can summon this card without distributing. Okay, well, I gotta turn to the extra deck now. What do we got? Link's Spider, that's not gonna help me much. Wind card our Gen X, I need wind monsters for that. Oh. This may be the very answer we need. If I summon you... we can now make this fellow. And that gives us just enough power to beat over him. And then we do a tiny bit of burn damage. Main phase 2. Not really much else I can do, so I guess that's it. Let's pray he doesn't have an answer. What was Call from the Grave? Actually, I forget what that card does. Oh no, the Shallow Grave, my bad. Each player special summons a target's monster in the graveyard, special summon them in face-down defense mode. Oh, I see. So now I summon a monster in defense mode. Let's summon Neutron. But now he's gonna... okay, never mind. I thought he was gonna tribute summon this card to summon another one. I guess not. Okay, let's summon Gen X Controller here. Let's flip up Neutron. And then... Controller will attack this guy. Neutron will attack Eject Eclipse again. And then you attack the other face down. Of course, it's another one. Okay. So this is definitely turning into a bit of a slog right now. But this is all I can do, so end turn. Hey! Oh, if this card was normal... We cannot have a single good effect in this darn deck, can we? Alright, who do we summon? I guess we summon Genix Furnace. Alright, draw a card. Swords of Revealing Light. I'm actually pretty happy to see you. I don't have Gilgagun X in this extra deck, unfortunately. So that would really help. Do I have any level 7 Gen X I can summon? That requires wind. God, this deck is awful. Okay. Flip summon you. I know that's a Jet Eclipse, so that'll revive himself when I kill it. I guess we'll just normal summon my Crystron friend here. And go for beatdown. Yep, so you're gonna die, and then you're gonna resurrect yourself. Then we'll have Neutron kill you. Then Furnace will attack this. Oh, it's Yagan, great. Of course, you bounced my Synchro Monster. That's alright. I can just summon it again. Alright, turn end. We're already on turn 8. And both of us have most of our health. Alright, draw. Raigeki Break. That could be useful. Let's set you immediately. And battle phase. I'm gonna play it safe and attack with him. Worm Zex. Alright, finally, let's get some damage off. Okay, if all goes well, we should win next turn. Not yet. I'm gonna let it go. Alright, let's discard Swords of Revealing Light. We're gonna pop his face down Yagan. And then I draw. Fine, let's use this card's silly effect. We'll mill this, add this to my hand. And with that, Thermal will attack here and do some burn damage. Oh! Perfect amount of burn damage. Alright, so that was a bit of a slog, but hey. Alright, so how does this segment of the war end? The purpose of the Gen X is still unknown. Apparently we didn't even know they existed despite them being here the whole time. However, it is a fact that the Gen X have started their own fight against the worms. Some of the engineers of the Ally of Justice analyzed the behavior of the Gen X in the following way. The Gen X were originally acting to improve the planet's environment, The worms must have been recognized by the Gen X as invasive alien species that is destroying and polluting the environment. That must be why they're taking action to eliminate them. The action of the engineers was focused on somehow incorporating the Gen X's power as an ally of justice force. After meticulous investigation, a means of communication was established via Gen X controller. Their ability to harness the power of nature to create energy and eliminate their enemies was gradually deciphered. Thus, the research took a leap forward, and they were eventually recognized as part of the Ally of Justice forces. Later, the Gen X were manipulated by the engineers and utilized as a weapon of great power. Preparations for a major operation against the worms was steadily underway, regardless of whether the mechanical beings wanted to participate or not. Well, that's a little unfortunate. I guess it's for a worthy cause. So that leaves one final chapter. The X-Sabers. So what happened next? The Sword of Will, X-Saber. Invasive creatures called worms have come drifting through space, eating other stars. An alliance of justice called the Ally of Justice was founded to kill them. The four groups at the heart of the Ally of Justice. Disciples of the mighty Ice Dragon, the Ice Barrier. Rulers of the Hazy Valley, the Mist Valley. Burning everything clad in flame, the Flame Bell. And the former mercenary group, the X-Saber. As the war against the worms progressed, X-Saber were put in a pinch. Some of the worms became smarter, and instead of attacking in numbers, formed swarms that coordinated their attacks. Many were wounded by the mobilizing enemy, and many elite fighters were injured in battle. Some went right back into battle with machine prostheses before their wounds even healed. To turn the tide of battle, a new strategy was needed. X-Saber leader, Commander Gotham Swordmaster, was building a new strategy while comparing the past with the now. This is the X-Saber base. The X-Sabers have an altar that imbues their weapons with great power. He is reminded of the owner of a single sword that has been struck into the ground there. That sword belonged to Gotham's, however, it once belonged to another individual. Long before the attack of the worms, an age where each of the groups was feuding for power. There was a mercenary group, X-Saber, that was founded by one man. At the center of it was X-Saber Souza. He cut down many enemies with his two swords. His skills were highly regarded by others. There are many drifters who did not have land or family to protect. They all threw themselves into battle with him to survive the war. Gotham's was one such drifter. Gotham's thought more highly of Souza than anyone else. The strength and charisma to lead the crude and fearless mercenaries. On the other hand, Gotham's also saw Souza's shortcomings. He was wild and ruthless, and did not hesitate to sacrifice men for victory. Even as the group formed for survival, there are times when you must care about the conditions of these soldiers. As soon as Gotham's joined the mercenaries, he did his best to display his worth to the group. He became Souza's right-hand man, and took on the role of connecting Souza to his men. The aggressive Souza was able to create such a powerful army not only because of his absolute power, but also due to the tenacity of Gotham's, acting as buffer and shaping the organization. The group needed these two things to maintain balance. However, Gotham's contribution to the group leads to its splitting off between ones that followed Souza and ones that are loyal to Gotham's. Gotham's was a loyal second-in-command to the aggressive Souza. More and more people started to regard him as their leader. Some have even openly spoken to him to lead the group instead of their reckless leader. What will happen to us if we are divided as a group in the midst of this war? The smaller factions will be eaten alive and soon disappear. However, Gotham's barely tolerated Souza's temperament. But Souza's powerful spirit and commitment to lead the group into battle was something he admired. The two factions seemed calm on the surface, but the dissent only grew over time, and this was to continue, it would spell disaster. While tensions grew higher and within the group, an incident occurred. During a mission, Souza disappeared. Gotham and his men looked for him, but only found one of his swords. The blade was still sharp, and there was no sign of battle in the area. In other words, he left behind one of his swords and disappeared without a trace. With no clues to find, Gotham's abandoned the search. Gotham's is faced with another big decision. How can the group survive without Souza, its spiritual pillar? Sheesh, that was a lot of story. And it's all backstory to the current conflict. Alright, so let's play X-Sabers. A more functional synchro deck. X-Sabers are notable for the battle-related effects and effects that assist with deploying monsters. With the help of cards like X-Saber Vultral, quickly prepare monsters that will serve as material, and then synchro summon mighty monsters like Saber Golems. Powerful spells and key trap cards like Golem's Emergency Call and Saber Hole can bring victory closer. And my opponent summoned a dinosaur. Oh, here we go. Boggart Knight, perfect. Yeah, so I know Boggart Knight. He's gonna summon one from my hand when I bring him out. That lets me summon my tuner out. Now we can synchro summon X-Saber Souza. What do you do? X-Saber Souza. You can tribute an X-Saber you control, then choose one of these effects. At the start of the damage step, if battles a monster, destroy it, or this card can't be destroyed by trap effects. This card has definitely been power crept, but that's okay. Vultral, once per turn, special summon an X-Saber from your graveyard. Saber Golems, level 9. You can tribute an X-Saber to discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Not the worst effect. Alright, time to beat down my opponent. First, we'll go with Souza, and then Golems. Boom! Alright, now it's time to duel. Are we gonna duel worms again, or are we gonna do a mirror match? Looks like it's a mirror match. Okay, so we have Rescue Cat. Okay, I think the plan is we summon Rescue Cat, use its effect. Now I summon 2 of these guys from the deck. Let's summon these 2. That lets me special summon Vultral. And now I can synchro summon. What do I want to summon? Or I could summon MX Saber Invoker. I could summon Golems, then tribute a card to discard a random card from his hand. That's an option. Hyunlei. Well, this would be good if I was going second. Goyle Guardian is also an option. I think I'll summon Goyle Guardian. And then we'll use Vultral's effect to resurrect our tuner friend from the graveyard. And then we'll set this card as a backup for later. And then I'll end my turn. Now I get to add a card from my deck to my hand. Actually, let's go with Boggart Knight. Okay, maybe I could have put him in attack mode. No, I don't want to use my trap yet, because I still have Vultral. Alright, so let's use Vultral's effect. resurrect him. And then actually, yeah. Let's tribute him, summon God Elves. Really, Commander Gotham Swordmaster is not a saber monster. Okay, that's dumb. But anyway. Battle time. Yugioh Guardian will attack him. And then I take control of him. And then my other monsters attack. And then just let me check my extra deck again. What level is that guy that blows up spell traps? Level 6. Okay. So I don't have an easy way to get to that. Well, I guess we'll save it for now. I did not actually expect him to use the normal dinosaur. Oh, what's this? Destroy a number of face-up cards in the field equal to the number of face-up attack position X sabers you control. A shame it's only face-up. Face-down would really be useful. Okay, well, just to be safe. Let's resurrect this guy. And what's battle phase? I thought something was off. Alright, well, he saved himself. For now, at least. But can he make a comeback? Ah, smart man. He avoided attacking my Dark Soul. Okay, well, I don't really think it makes much of a difference now. But anyway, just to be safe, let's resurrect my tuner. Boom! Yunlei. Okay, got nothing to hide behind. This duel is over. Alright, we did it. X exclusion. Okay, now, kind of curious what the ending is going to be. Is it just going to be like how the XX Sabers reform themselves? The impact of losing X Saber Suzo was immense, but they fought together and went through good and bad times together. If this group were to fall apart now, more would die. So Gotham's assumed leadership of the group that Suzo left behind. To polish what Suzo had built and passed on the group to the next generation, the XX Sabers. Later, Gotham became the new commander of the mercenary group X Saber, a band of mercenary ruffians. We must transform into a band of swordsmen that work together to improve our skills and fight with spirit. Gotham's was determined. He nominated 10 elite swordsmen, each in charge of leading a handful of soldiers that wins and leaves no one behind. Some left the group due to these reforms, but Gotham's didn't blame those who did. Many decided to stay, and thus the group was reborn. With Gotham's in command, X-Saber Urbellum took his side. With these talented soldiers, X-Saber grew to become the largest on the continent. He established a base and even rules over the entire region. There were times in the past when we had to re-mobilize due to the changes in battle. Same can be said about now. They develop new tactics and techniques to resist the worms that have evolved to become more organized on top of their strength. Gundam's handpicked a selection of elite agents once again. He urged his soldiers to use equipment with the newest technology and plan coordinated attacks using skills cultivated in the Ally of Justice. Some of the 10 elite soldiers have been a part of the group, some had joined anew, but all were best in the field. The two X's work together in battle. The two X's multiplies the power of X. To push this idea further, Gundam changed the name of the group to XX Saber and confronts the worms. Thus began a new battle of those who inherit the spirit of the sword. Okay, so we got the backstory for the X-Sabers. Something I noticed that we did not get was actually a finale to the fight with the worms. We still have no idea how that ended. Maybe that's part of another story entirely. But I don't think we're going to get it here, because we're almost out of chapters. But you know what? That's okay. So, I've been thinking about just generally doing things. I think what we'll do to finish this game off is we'll spend next time and maybe the next 2 times after that just wrapping up the single-player sections of this game. I have amassed a decent amount of crystals just from playing and from other stuff. So then we'll try to build a deck using those. Hopefully we can make one that's functional, semi-functional. If so, great. We may then tackle online, or we may go back and do all the previous solo challenges and clear up all the boards. Who can say? But anyway, until then, whatever happens, Locust Storm signing out.